Hello everyone. We were discussing fin tube heat exchanger. In last few lectures, we have seen how to calculate the fin efficiency for fin tube heat exchanger, how to calculate different geometrical parameters, particularly area of fin tube heat exchangers, and ultimately we have calculated heat transfer coefficient for fin tube heat exchanger. Once again, I like to remind you for fin tube heat exchanger, where fluid passes through the tube side and the gas passes over the fins surface of the tubes. The challenge lies in the designing of the fin side, that means the gas side of the heat exchangers. Both the heat transfer coefficient and the pressure drop, that will depend on the geometry of the fin surface, tube arrangement, tube layout, number of rows, number of columns, and obviously the physical dimensions. And most of the cases, these are correlations obtained from experiment. So, really we should not bother to get them by heart, only thing is that a familiarity is needed. So, that is why we will take up some problem or example which are typical example of fin tube heat exchanger. Nothing has to be get by heart, only the method of solution, or rather the logic we follow to solve them, that has to be understood. So, that when another problem comes, we will be able to solve it. So, this is what I like to convey, and certain generality is there. So, those generalities I am pointing out as we proceed with this course. So, analysis of fin tube heat exchanger continued. We will continue with this thing, and let us go to the next slide. So, next slide gives pressure drop in fin tube arrays, but before doing that, let me do one thing. I like to give certain overview, so that you will be able to understand what we are going to do. So, let us say this is the tube array, as I have told number of times that flow of fluid is through the tube and flow of gas or air, which is the gas in many cases, is in this direction. So, length of the tube is normal to the diagram I have shown. So, I have discussed the heat transfer aspect of it. Let me discuss the pressure drop aspect of it. So, pressure drop aspect, you see, the when the air passes through this, it will have different cross sections of area. So, when the air is passing through this portion, so it is passing through some sort of a restricted space, and when it is passing through this, then it has got more cross sectional area. So, air will go through experiencing, or air will experience some sort of acceleration and deceleration. So, this will give some amount of pressure drop, plus of course, it is passing past solid bodies, which are blob bodies, and these tubes are having fins, etc. So, there will be some sort of pressure loss due to that, which is called friction loss, but it could be both your friction loss and your loss due to form drag, loss due to the presence of a blob body. So, all these things generally it is done in some sort of a correlation form, and one can write delta P, the pressure drop, that is equal to due to two component K acceleration plus K friction. So, these two are coefficient and contribution from acceleration and friction, as I have told, and then half into rho V max square. So, this simple formula is used. So, all the complexity of the pressure drop that has been taken care of by this simple formula. Then how it has been taken care of? All the complexities have been clubbed into two coefficients. One is K A, which is due to acceleration, and another is K F, which is quote unquote due to friction. So, as I have told that friction and form drag and all these losses due to the viscous nature of the fluid, that will be plugged into K F, and then K A is equal to 1 plus sigma square. Again I will get another relationship for K A, and then sigma, what is the sigma? Sigma is some sort of a geometrical parameter. So, this is the minimum flow area. Some of these things have been used earlier, and divided by the total frontal area. So, from there I will get sigma. So, sigma is a geometrical parameter, and then I will get K A, and I will get also K F. K F is given by some sort of a correlation. With this, let us go back to our slide. Now, we will be able to understand what is there. So, sigma, how I am calculating the sigma? So, I have given some sort of a tube array, pitch etcetera have been described. So, we sigma comes from the geometrical feature. So, sigma will be given by, as you can see, the P 1 pitch will come, dr root diameter of the fin will come, and then this is the height of the fin, this is the width of the fin, this is the width of the fin, and the space between two fins. So, all these things will come here. The value of K F depends not only on the geometry of the tube array, but it also depends on other factor. So, K F is a function of Reynolds number based on maximum fluid velocity and tube diameter, and is recommended for RE in the range of 10 to the power 3 to 10 to the power 5. So, 10 to the power 3 to 10 to the power 5 the RE, and RE is defined, or rather RE is specified based on the bare tube diameter and the maximum velocity. It covers the range in which these fin tube heat exchangers are generally used. So, the correlations what we will be showing today, though I have told that they need not be memorized, these correlations will hold good for most of the fin tube heat exchangers used in practice. So, K F, now we can see K F is RE to the power some factor, then L by S, then the pitch that will come into picture, and then the root diameter etcetera will come into picture. So, basically it is dependent on Reynolds number, diameter of the tube, diameter of the fins etcetera. And then high fin tubes in staggered array with RE in the range of 5 into 10 to the power 2 to 5 into 10 to the power 4, we have got some other formula. A and AT I have defined in our earlier class. So, you see you have not to bother regarding the formula, because these formula are available. Unfortunately, if somebody uses some sort of a tube layout or some sort of a fin geometry for which formula is not there, then of course, it is a matter to be worried, and in that case one has to again conduct experiment to get this kind of correlations. Otherwise, if we pick our selection from the available geometries which are used in the industry, then this kind of formula are available and one can just plug in. Only one has to know what is the logical procedure of designing, what is the logical procedure of analysis, and that is what I am going to describe here. So, as I have told, delta P depends on K A and K F. K A depends on sigma. So, we have shown in this particular slide how to calculate sigma, and we have also given some probable correlations, some exhaustive correlations for K F. Now, let us move to the next slide. So, next slide here I have shown A by A t is the ratio of the total surface area of the fin tube to the surface area of the equivalent bare tube. So, that is what, and with this we can calculate the required quantities. Now, let us take up a problem, and with the problem we will see how we can solve this and how we can use the things which we have learnt. A heat exchanger consists of 4 rows of 8 steel tubes. Thermal conductivity of the steel tube that has been given, and in equilateral triangular array fitted with corbels or dummy half tubes to reduce the bypass flow. The tubes have roll formed rectangular cross section fin and the following dimensions. Length has been given, root diameter has been given, and then then the tip diameter has been given. Then actually this first length one should take as the length of the tube, and second L, this is a typographical mistake over here. So, this is the length of the fin or height of the fin. The W is the width of the fin, and S is the gap between two fins. Then P1 is the pitch, one pitch in the direction of flow, and P2 sorry, P1 is the pitch normal to the flow direction, and P2 is the pitch in the direction of flow. Let me explain. L, which is 0.5 meter, that is the length of the tube. Dr is the root diameter of the base fin or the diameter of the tube, bare tube. Dt is the outer diameter of the fin. So, from here you can calculate, using these two you can calculate the fin height. So, this is giving the fin height this is giving the fin height, and this is giving the fin width. W is small w is the fin width, S is the gap between two fins, and P1 is the pitch. You please consult our earlier diagram, there you will get P1. So, P1 actually is a direction normal to the direction of flow, and P2 is in the direction of flow. The tubes are heated on the inside by condensing vapor that maintains a uniform tube wall surface temperature of 343 K and cooled on the outside by cross flow of air initially at 288 K, flowing at the rate of 0.914 kg per second. What is the total rate of heat transfer and pressure drop across the heat exchanger? So, there are a few things which I like to mention. So, let us say this is these tubes are the tubes are arranged in equilateral triangular array. So, the tubes are arranged like this. So, this is basically if we join the center of the tubes, then they are in equilateral triangular array, and then you can know that this angle included angle will be 60 degree, half of that angle will be 30 degree. So, this is how tubes are arranged. So, this is kind of a staggered arrangement. So, let us think of a staggered arrangement. So, this is the staggered arrangement. Next, row of column of tube comes like this. Now, you see what happens that here we are having more number of tubes, in the next column we are having less number of tubes. Let us say this is my control volume, or this is the envelope of the heat exchanger. So, what one can see that if the air passes through this, then air will get larger vacant space. So, if air passes through this, let us say air is passing through this, and here air will get larger vacant space. So, most of the air that will try to bypass through these portions. So, this problem will be there towards the end, this problem will be there when there is staggered arrangement of tubes. So, what one can do here, one can put half tubes which are dummy tubes. So, this is what one can put, and then the airflow distribution will not be lopsided, and we have selected the staggered arrangement of tube, and we will get a good distribution of air through the staggered arrangement of the tube. So, this is one thing which one has to appreciate. So, you see here it is told that fitted with corbels or dummy half tubes. So, what is dummy half tube, that I have explained. Then the tube is heated from inside with the help of a condensing steam. So, if it is heated from the inside by a condensing steam, generally in condensation heat transfer coefficient is very high. So, what has been done in this problem, that we have neglected the resistance inside the tube due to condensation, because that resistance is very small compared to the other resistance. So, this is also one thing you have to remember. And in many cases one can also neglect the resistance of the metallic tube, because metal has got a high heat transfer conductivity, high conductivity, and a low thermal resistance compared to the resistance offered by the gas which is outside the tube. So, basically then all the resistances are in series, but the resistance on the air side, that becomes the deciding factor. Okay. And fluid properties have been given. So, the air density has been given, air viscosity has been given, and Cp has been given, K thermal conductivity of air, that has been given, and then Prandtl number, that has also been given. So, with this let us go to the next slide. The surface area of fin, that is AF, we can calculate the surface area of the fin. Then surface area of the tubes between the fins, that we can calculate by AW. This have been explained earlier, and I again like you to derive this relationship of your own, so that you can understand this how they have how this formula have been arrived at. And what you can do, you can also solve this problem of your own, though it has been given. So, taking this problem statement, you can solve it. So, then the total surface area, this is the outside surface area which is responsible for heat transfer. But again here I like to mention that this surface area is not equally effective in heat transfer. The bare tube surface, outer surface, that is more efficient or more effective, whereas the fin surface there will be a variation of temperature. So, fin efficiency also we have to take into consideration. The total tube surface area without the fins or fins removed is we have got without the fins, that is we will get 0.824 meter square. Then minimum cross section area of the flow from where we will get V max is needed in many calculation. So, we will get like this. Please recheck these numbers, you can calculate and check with our number. For Reynolds number we will get, this is our Reynolds number. Getting the V max we will get Reynolds number, this is 1.61 and into 10 to the power 4, and you can note all the correlations I have mentioned earlier. So, it falls within the range of those correlations. So, let us go to the next slide. Next slide, the average heat transfer coefficient now can be calculated. So, Nusselt number we can calculate the average Nusselt number, this kind of formula I have given earlier. So, this is your Nusselt number and then there are two factors. Okay. So, these two factors, how do we calculate these two factors? Correlation for high fin tubes we have used, correlation for high fin tubes, low fin tubes is this formula and high fin tubes is this formula. So, we have to decide which one we can use, and already we have given this formula earlier. So, you are familiar what are the terminologies used in this formula. So, then we have selected the actual relationship, and then from there we have got the average Nusselt number. From there we have got the heat transfer coefficient, which is 127.3 watt per meter square Kelvin. Now, this value, I mean one can does not have to get it by heart, but 100, 120, 100 up to 150 watt per meter square Kelvin, that is the heat transfer coefficient for air in forced convection. At least this much one can remember, and this kind of gut feeling of a number is very important when we are designing certain heat transfer equipment. Then fin efficiency has to be calculated. Last day also I have shown how to calculate fin efficiency using the same formula. We are getting the fin efficiency 0.89. This is also one thing, that fin efficiency should be on the higher side. If the fin efficiency is not on the higher side, then we have not selected a fin properly, we have not selected a fin justifiably. So, here we are getting almost 90% fin efficiency, which is acceptable. Sometimes even we go for lower fin efficiency, and in case of some high end heat exchanger, high effectiveness heat exchanger, we are having higher fin efficiency. So, with this we will move on. So, as I have told, once we have got the fin efficiency, what we can do? There are two ways. Either we can get some sort of reduced area by the use of fin efficiency, or we can get some sort of reduced heat transfer coefficient. So, here effective average heat transfer coefficient we have calculated, and that is 115.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. Then log mean temperature difference, we have to calculate the log mean temperature difference. Here there is one catch, please try to understand that the catch is, this is a phase change heat transfer device where condensation is taking place and it is being cooled outside with air. So, air will change its temperature, or rather there will be a change in temperature of air. But from the problem statement, the condensing fluid. So, condensing fluid side there will not be any change in temperature, very high heat transfer coefficient on the condensing side. So, the tube wall will remain at a constant temperature. This is very important to understand. So, this is very important to understand that the tube wall will remain at a constant temperature, and using that constant temperature which has been given in the problem, we can calculate the log mean temperature of the heat exchanger. Basically, then this is a heat exchanger where one side temperature remains constant, other side temperature changes, and then we will discuss about this kind of heat exchanger in details, maybe from the next lecture onwards. And then there is only one resistance, because other thermal resistances are negligible compared to the air side resistance. The formula here which I have given, delta T is equal to this complex or not so complex expression. This has come through a number of steps. I would request all of you, already you are familiar with LMTD, already you are familiar with the how to do the temperature variation estimation. So, please try to get this expression. So, once you get this expression, then it is very easy. Delta T is 45.6 K. What is this delta T? This is the delta T experienced by air which is passing outside the condenser coil. So, now your Q dot is equal to H A delta T, that is this amount of heat transfer. So, total amount of heat transfer we are getting from this formula, all right. So, basically what we have calculated a few areas. From there we have also calculated the Reynolds number and the heat transfer coefficient, and using those values what we have done, we have calculated the total rate of heat transfer. Well, now we have to calculate the pressure drop. The ratio of minimum free flow area to total frontal area, that is sigma. At the beginning of the lecture I have described, so that is 0.3139. The half rho V max square that is needed for pressure calculation, V max we have calculated. So, this is what we can get. K A acceleration coefficient I have defined as A plus sigma square, and then I can get it as 1.15. So, obviously, you can understand as it is 1 plus something which is a positive quantity, it will be more than 1, and it depends on sigma. Then Kf calculation is not straightforward, it depends on what kind of correlation we pick up. So, we picked up a correlation suitable for this based on Reynolds number and the geometrical parameter. So, we have calculated Kf. Then delta P is equal to Ka, this Ka plus Kf, this is your Kf 4 into Kfy. We have to see how many rows are there. So, that is why this 4 or number of rows we have to give. So, that is what we have given, and then half rho m V max, half rho V max square. So, that is half rho V max square 128.3. So, that has also come, and giving everything it is 414 Newton per meter square. So, this is what is the pressure drop across the fin tube heat exchanger. So, in a nutshell, what we have done, we have first described the method of pressure drop calculation in a finned tube row and column where there are number of fin tubes, and then we have taken up a problem which is a finned tube condenser, outside air is flowing. For that we have calculated the overall heat transfer, total heat transfer rather, and then we have calculated the pressure drop. So, this should give you some idea that how to do calculation for a fin tube heat exchanger. So, with this we will try to make some sort of a conclusion that that we have started with with augmentation of heat transfer, and then we defined also what are compact heat exchangers. I have told that fins are very useful method for augmenting heat transfer, and they are very extensively used in heat exchangers. So, that is why we have spent some time on fin tube heat exchanger, different methods of specifications, calculation, etc. I have described, and finally, we have taken up a problem where we could calculate the total amount of heat transfer and the pressure drop. So, there are many such problems, and the books which I have described, I mean which we have given referred as reference. So, those books also you can see, and if any queries are there, you are welcome to put up those queries. But it is important that whatever I have given the derivation, those derivation you check, those are very simple geometrical derivation, and sometimes it is derivation from LMTD. So, please do this derivation of your own. Thank you.